Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing fine. I'm also okay. Today, we want to look at what is the best political move Mount Kenya people should make. A choice that if they were to make, they will get what they want, which is to get back in control, to get back power. What is the best political move the region of Mount Kenya, aka Mumurima, should make if they want to get back into power? If that is something you are interested in, I urge you to stay tuned. And if you're watching for the first time, take a moment, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss subsequent videos. Otherwise, let us just get right into the subject of the day. Yesterday's event at Embu taught us one thing, that from the look of things, Mount Kenya is in a political quagmire. You see, if you watched how the crowd reacted to the mention of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, they proved that the region is mostly behind Rigathi Gachagua. And of course, it's based purely on pity, not love. Not that Rigathi Gachagua is their favorite leader. It is the belief that Rigathi Gachagua did not get justice, something like that. Of course, that is highly debatable. Rigathi Gachagua, in my opinion, impeached himself. I even did a video about that. He impeached himself. But the populace don't see it that way. So the people of Mountain are seeing that their son was victimized, harassed, and then removed from power. And so Rigathi enjoys serious support in the Mountain, thanks to that victimhood and the pity that accompanies it. Interestingly, Uhuru Kenyatta, who the Mountain didn't like at all, is somehow now a serious hero. And I told you that if there is one mistake, political mistake Rigathi Gachagua made, was to destroy Uhuru Kenyatta and then rebuild him. Because should Uhuru Kenyatta become the de facto spokesperson of Mount Kenya, Rigathi will become irrelevant within months. Because they cannot be two spokespersons, you know that. Mount Kenya cannot have two spokespersons. It will settle on one. It will either be Rigathi Gachagua or Uhuru Kenyatta. And from the look of things, Rigathi Gachagua gave away that birthright. He is the one who had destroyed Uhuru Kenyatta politically to the point that Uhuru literally moved out of the country. And then out of desperation, he decided to revive Uhuru Kenyatta, saying Uhuru was right. Oh, Uhuru never misled us. He is our king, etc. So yesterday, he saw firsthand that king being celebrated and being cheered. When Uhuru's convoy was going throughout Embu, the youth were there singing and saying that Uhuru, you told us. Meaning they were listening to, they were agreeing with what Rigathi was telling them, that Rigathi was wrong when he was supporting Ruto and Uhuru was right when Uhuru was saying, I don't like Ruto. But another thing that was making things very difficult for the like of Rigathi, and that's why I was saying he made a mistake, what was making things difficult for him was, even though Uhuru Kenyatta was supposed to be on his side, Uhuru ended up giving a statement that was agreeing with Kindiki Kithure. In fact, I'm not creating this. Uhuru Kenyatta said, I agree with the deputy president, that Tuachi Ukabila. This one was hitting directly on Rigathi Gachagua, who has always maintained that whatever he's pushing, whether it is being seen as tribalism or what, he has no apologies to make. And he believed that Uhuru Kenyatta was going to come and confirm that the region needs to be left alone to play whatever kind of politics they want to play. Yet Uhuru came there, and when he got a chance, of course, after laughing how he just watched the news and the channels to see what is going on, which was in reference to watching the drama of how Rigathi Gachagua was impeaching himself, Uhuru Kenyatta tells Rigathi, maybe acha siasa ya ukabila, because that is what I understood when you said we stop the politics of tribalism, and that is the message that the president has always told the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua. Stop the politics of tribalism, and Uhuru comes and says the same, and then Uhuru is celebrated even more. In my opinion, that is a very big mistake Rigathi Gachagua made. He should have not revived Uhuru Kenyatta, because that is the only thing that was going to make him relevant. If he was impeached and he was the sole voice from the region, it would give him serious bargaining power. But now that Uhuru Kenyatta is also back, and Uhuru Kenyatta is supposed to be a senior politician than Rigathi Gachagua, having been president of the region, Rigathi Gachagua might be relevant very soon. Even if Rigathi was to remain relevant alongside Uhuru Kenyatta might end up calling the shots. But even if Rigathi also ended up edging Uhuru out and taking over the leadership of Mount Kenya finds themselves in the same situation they were in 2022, but with a twist. Let me explain. In 2022, Mount Kenya was going into an election without a candidate of their own. And so they had to choose between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And in that particular scenario, Mount Kenya settled for William Ruto. I want to repeat, not because they loved him. If they did, they would still be supporting him and his policies today. It was a case of between two evils, which one is a lesser evil? And for them, Ruto was a lesser evil compared to Raila Odinga. That does not mean that a significant population of Mount Kenya voted for Raila. He got almost 800,000 votes from there. But majority, millions voted for William Ruto. Now, immediately they had voted for Ruto. For a few months, Mount Kenya stayed calm, but then they started the jitters. And of course, now it is full-blown. Now they don't want Ruto. They are the leading critics of Ruto. They find themselves again in a position where in 2027, they would have not had a strong candidate that can face off with Ruto. And so Mount Kenya finds themselves to having to go and support somebody who is not their own again. And where's the twist? Unlike in 2022, where they were voting for Ruto to punish Uhuru Kenyatta for bringing them Raila, this time they are rejecting Ruto and praising the same Uhuru, claiming that Uhuru was right. That Uhuru told them Ruto was a bad person and Raila was a good person, and that Uhuru was right. However, they are not saying that now we are endorsing Raila. Uhuru, you are right. You told us Raila was the best person, and now we have had you. We are endorsing Raila. No. They are actually pro-Kalonzo Musyoka. So Uhuru was right for telling them Raila was a better candidate than Ruto. And for that reason, they adore Uhuru and call Uhuru their leader. And Ruto is now a very bad person. They regret voting for Ruto. However, they are not agreeing with Uhuru's wisdom fully, because they would have said, Uhuru, we agree with you. Convince Raila to vie so that we support him. No, they are supporting Kalonzo Musyoka. Now, not all of them, but from the look of things, Kalonzo Musyoka, even if you go to the ground, you will find that a significant number are saying it is a combination of Mount Kenya and Ukambani. In fact, Ukambani is now calling themselves Mount Kenya, Lower Mount Kenya, something like that. It's a state of confusion, ladies and gentlemen, because you have people who are rejecting Ruto to agree with Uhuru, but also not supporting Raila, who Uhuru was supporting, and supporting Kalonzo, who also was supporting Raila, but does not support Raila anymore. Mount Kenya finds themselves in political quagmire. And because of that political quagmire, we are looking at what is the next best political move for Mount Kenya. What is it that they can do today that will get them back to power? Because that is what they want. Mount Kenya has shown that they don't do well when other people are in power. They want that power. And so what is the best way? And there's nothing wrong with wanting the power anyway. Every community, I think, is angling for power. So what is the best way for Mount Kenya to get back to power? If you asked me, they have three choices. One is William Ruto, the other one is Raila Odinga, and the third one is Kalonzo Musyoka. Because they don't have their own candidate. Unless they would have groomed somebody like Ndindi Nyoro to the point where he can compete nationally. But for now, let's work with these three. If they change their mind and return back to Ruto, they are guaranteed of getting back into power because the running mate will automatically come from Mount Kenya. And come 2032, that particular running mate will vie for president. And with the support of Ruto, chances are that person will win and Mount Kenya will be back in power. It's that easy. But it requires them to swallow their pride, change their mind, and embrace Ruto again, which, having studied how Mount Kenya participates in politics or approaches politics, I don't think that will happen. It will really require a lot of swallowing of pride, which is not something Mount Kenya think is going to do. For them, their goal is to punish Ruto for not towing the line and to show that they are the ones who have the power to get somebody in office and remove them in office. And so if they made an about turn and came and coiled their tail to come and endorse William Ruto again, while it has serious reward, it will greatly injure their ego. And Mount Kenya people, politically speaking, have an ego that extends the borders. And there's nothing wrong with that again. So that is one way. Support Ruto. Again, get the deputy position. And then 2032, get the endorsement of William Ruto. That person becomes president. Option 2 is Kalonzo Musyoka. Support Kalonzo the way you are suggesting or intimating that you are going to support Kalonzo. But for you to win, ensure Raila Odinga endorses Kalonzo or that Raila Odinga is on the ballot. Those two things are important. Because Kalonzo Musyoka vying with the support of Mount Kenya against a combined force of William Ruto and Raila Odinga, he will fail miserably. Just put emotions aside and go with the numbers. Raila Odinga will be bringing on board Nyanza, parts of Western, Coast, and a half of Nairobi. Ruto will be bringing on board Rift Valley, Northeastern, parts of Coast, and parts of that Mount Kenya, whether Mount Kenya would have gone the Kalonzo route. Because it has been proven that Mount Kenya can actually give votes elsewhere. If the election of 2022 had one lesson for us, is that over 800,000 people from Murima voted for Ruto, for Raila Odinga. And that is proof that even if Mount Kenya was to, by decision of majority, go to Kalonzo Musyoka, Ruto will still get a significant vote. And unlike Ruto, unlike Raila, which Mount Kenya perhaps have historical issues with, Ruto is being supported by elected leaders. And that can give him serious room to campaign and dent Kalonzo's support within Mount Kenya. So a combination of Raila Odinga and William Ruto, ladies and gentlemen, destroys Kalonzo's candidature. That is why I'm saying the only way Mount Kenya is getting into power through Kalonzo is if they can convince Raila Odinga to vie or, so that it splits the vote, or support Kalonzo Musyoka. The problem with that is Raila Odinga still has a lot of sway over Luos. But if he was to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka, then he has to be in a position where he can make decisions. And Kalonzo has one weakness. He is not consistent. So it's not as if Kalonzo would promise you that once I take over, I will give you this and this and this. And then you take that to the bank. Because he has shown that he can make very serious claims, but then change his mind without shame. Remember, this Kalonzo said he will be the most stupid person to support Raila again. That is 2017. And then he supported him. In 2022, he was like, without reciprocity, whatever, I can't, I'm vying, what. And he was there supporting Raila. So if Raila was to bring Luos behind Kalonzo, he would need assurances. And how does he get it from the likes of Kalonzo? And also having seen how Mount Kenya acted against him. And let me explain. Mount Kenya, there are people who voted for Raila Odinga, but immediately after election, they turned against Raila Odinga. It's not as if the people who voted for Raila Odinga in 2022 are still sticking with him from Mount Kenya. No. They turned against him, and some of them are now leading the chorus of Raila is a conman. So Raila will be asking himself, which one makes sense? Working with Ruto, whom I can trust, and with the Kalenjin, who I know I have worked with before and have supported me before, or going to gamble with the Kikuyus and Kambas. Chances are that Raila will stick with Ruto. But I'm not saying it is impossible for Mount Kenya people to convince Raila to vie or to support Kalonzo. I'm just saying it is going to be hard. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do that. But if they can pull it off, ladies and gentlemen, they get into power. Because Kalonzo will win, and then Mount Kenya will be controlling Kalonzo through that. And another challenge with convincing Raila to endorse Kalonzo, it means that the running mate must now come from Western. And that does not play well for Mount Kenya, because if Kalonzo is the presidential candidate, and Mount Kenya would want to produce the deputy president, so Raila would be asking the question: how do I gain from this particular arrangement? What is going to motivate my people, or the Luos and the people of Western and the people of Coast, to back this particular arrangement? So on this other side, it is very easy, because Ruto is somebody Raila has worked with before. He knows Ruto is a man of his word and will keep every arrangement they have. It's going to be difficult for Mount Kenya to convince Raila to vie, let alone to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka against Ruto. But if they can pull it, they'll get into power. The third option is to just go and tell Raila Odinga, we have learned from our mistakes. Uhuru Kenyatta was right when he said that you're the person who's supposed to take over leadership after him. And for that reason, we are convincing you, we are begging you, let us correct our mistake and we will support you. If they can get Raila to buy into that, and they are genuine about it, they also have to find a way that Kalonzo is in that particular train. And Kalonzo is looking at politics differently now. He has done so much that now is his turn to become president. And he's seen his path that Mount Kenya is now supposed to endorse him and support him. Anything less than that endorsement, Kalonzo would see it, and Kambas will see it as a betrayal. Because bringing Kalonzo on the fold means that you either give him the running mate position or give him the running mate position. Mount Kenya will not take that, because they want, if Raila is getting their vote, Raila's running mate must come from Mount Kenya. And so there is no way Kalonzo is finding himself in that mix. He will be like, what is in it for us, for fifth time or fourth time, Kalonzo will now be playing a second fiddle in very important national politics. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you see how complicated that is? Raila, the only way Mount Kenya gets to power without problems is if they swallow their egos and come back to supporting Ruto. That is very difficult. I've known Mount Kenya people for a very long time, and I can tell you their mind is fixed at punishing Ruto. Whatever their reasons are, but their mind is fixed at punishing Ruto. Number two is the only way they get into power is to convince Kalonzo Musyoka, they endorse Kalonzo Musyoka and convince Raila to come and join them, which I told you is very difficult because they won't give Raila to nominate the running mate. They would want the running mate to come from Mount Kenya. Raila would not see the sense of supporting that particular arrangement. Number three is to convince Raila to vie so that Mount Kenya endorses him. Mount Kenya will still want a deputy from their region, Mulima. And Kalonzo then will be like, okay, so why am I getting into this mix if I'm not even going to be number two? You see, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I was telling you the only way for Murima is to work with Ruto, and they are guaranteed that come 2027, come 2032, whoever will be the running mate of William Ruto, that probably from Mount Kenya, will take over as the president in 2032. Whether that is Ndindi or whoever they would pick, that person will take over. Otherwise, any other angle they take leads them to opposition. And it can lead them to opposition for a very long time. Because I want to also tell you something. When William Ruto and Raila finally cement their relationship, then it will be very difficult for Mount Kenya to get back into power, because the numbers will always never favor them. As of now, we all know the truth, that there is no single community that can front their candidate and then vote for that candidate, and that candidate will get 50+1. There is none, whether it is from Mount Kenya, whether it is from Kalenjin, whether it is from Luoland. So you will need coalitions of regions, and as of now, the only region that Mount Kenya can coalesce with a lot of ease is Ukambani. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not enough to propel them to power if Raila Odinga and Ruto join forces. You see that? So that is where they find themselves in such problems. My advice, they made Mount Kenya, what Murima can take it or leave it, is that if the desire is to get to power, come back, work with Ruto. You will get to power. If the desire is to punish Ruto, then convince Raila Odinga to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka. If you can, then you will punish Ruto. Or convince Kalonzo Musyoka to endorse Raila Odinga. If you can, you will still punish Ruto. Though those are very difficult things to achieve. I'm not limiting your ability. I'm just saying very difficult things to achieve, because the dynamics of politics is, what do I get in return? And Kalonzo will not see what he gets in that particular arrangement of yours, and Raila will not see what he gets in that particular arrangement of yours. So you have only one option. Take it. Work with Ruto. Let's build the country. If you agree with me, let me know in the comment section. If you disagree also, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, if you found this video useful, please drop a like, share it with your friends. And I want to thank you for taking your time to watch this video. Let us meet in the next one.